Good morning, everybody. My name's Joe. I'm starting a cold brew business, and I am about to take you on the most awesome, most possibly comprehensive cold brew tasting you can imagine. So, I'm starting a cold brew business here in Bishop, California. I've been a barista for 7 years. I love coffee, and that's about it. Now, that being said, I think that the dominant trend that I've been seeing is these drinks that are infused with MCT oil, infused with protein, made with almond milk, sweetened lightly, mocha, vanilla. So it's not cold brew in the same sense that the market used to be. All right, so the cold brew tasting, I'm basically going to be getting way too wired this morning. I'm not going to drink all of them by any chance, hopefully. But we've got 9 total things to taste, which will be really exciting. I put together this scorecard, which is very cool. So I'm evaluating the body, the thickness, whether I like the mouthfeel of the coffee or not, the sweetness of the coffee, that's number 2. Is it sweet? Does it taste good? The balance of the cup, is there anything really gnarly, really bitter, really nasty sticking out? The 4th thing I'm evaluating is the strength of the coffee. And then I also have a 5th category called wow. So this is just the overall impressions I get from it for the open category with all of these mixed drinks, with mocha drinks, with things like that. It's how the whole recipe comes together. If the packaging is very good, if the feel of drinking out of the carton is really exciting, then I think I'll include that in the wow category. So there are a few things that I left out, which you traditionally really care about when you're cupping hot coffee. That's most notably aroma, and acidity, things like that. I just don't think these are really applicable to cold brew. A lot of the volatile aromatics in coffee are just not there when you're cold brewing, and so I've left a few things out, but I still think this will be a very good and comprehensive list. So let's get jacked. All right, guys, so here's the lineup. This is batch number 2, test batch number 2. This got finished yesterday, so it is older. These 2 are my cold brews. This one turned out too light. I used a 1-to-10 ratio in terms of coffee to water, and so didn't really like the way it was. I steeped it maybe a little too long. This one I just pulled this morning, and I think it's going to be really good. I've already tasted a little bit of it. We'll see how it stacks up. I used a 1-to-8 ratio. I only steeped for 15 hours instead of 20 hours. We have the cold brew, high brew coffee. This is black and bold, sugar-free. Pretty excited about that one. The Gavalia cold brew iced coffee, house blend edition. I'm kind of excited about this. This might be a sleeper hit. We'll see if it's good or not. We have Illy. Illy is a company that I want to like. This one is a cold espresso style drink. It's only 8 ounces, 6.8 ounces. So this will probably be maybe lighter, maybe a little bit cleaner. So this is the black coffee category. We have 2 contenders in the latte category, the iced latte category. We have the chameleon cold brew, milk, sugar, and a couple of preservatives. So it should just be a lightly sweetened, pretty decent, normal iced latte. We have the Califia triple shot. The marketing on this one is really funny. It's pretty extreme. This one is made basically the same thing, but made with almond milk, and I guess they put a triple shot of espresso in there, which is interesting. Again, I think it's a marketing gimmick when people are saying, we put so much espresso in your iced coffee or in your cold brew. They're not really telling you how much caffeine is in there. It's just like a macho thing. This is our open category. These are the wild cards. You know, there's a wide variety of things you can do with cold brew, so these are more like elixirs. So the picnic coffee, I think I've had this stuff before, infused with MCT oil. This is a very common thing these days. I actually went to Vaughn's and I could not find a single black cold brew whatsoever. It was all these elixirs. So what's in here? Coffee butter, keto friendly, whey protein, MCT oil, bunch of other things, sweeteners, cacao butter, vanilla extract. Should be good, should be solid. What I'm really excited about is this one. I got this at Manor Market, which is our local market. So this is the Wandering Bear Cold Brew. I haven't seen these guys before. Maybe they're a more local company or a more smaller company. Made by Matt and Ben. How can you not like those guys? Matt and Ben. And there's not that many ingredients in here. It's just water, coffee, coconut cream, cacao extract, and gel and gum for emulsifier. So I am pretty excited for this in terms of the open category. All right, so first I'm gonna do the black coffee category, and then I'm going to do these ones. Let's get wired. Here we go. Batch number 2. Pretty light tasting, pretty good. I'm gonna compare it against the one I made today. So, it's interesting because slurping and aerating the coffee and everything like that, I almost like this a little bit more, but I just know from experience from drinking this week and comparing it to this that I like this better, and I've designed this a little better. So let's go ahead and score batch number 2 first. This is the older one. Body, I would give it a 3. Sweetness, 3.5. Balance, 3. And strength, 3. It's pretty good. I'm using a washed Ethiopian coffee for these two. It's the best of the local coffees that I've had. The sweetness in this one is not as good as the sweetness in this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and score that right now. Sweetness in this one, I would give a 4.52. And that's because there is some honeysuckle sweetness in this coffee. It would come out better if I brewed a hot cup of it, but it's really kind of vegetal and it's kind of a washed out sweetness. It's not super good. Obviously, there's a lot less of a range of things that you can control when you're doing cold brew versus when you're brewing hot coffee. And I guess the widest range possible would be espresso. So I've been really kind of diving deep and trying to just work certain tastes out of my cold brew. This one tastes, again, like too vegetal, too malty. The body is not super good. So to batch number 3, that's the one I finished today. So the body of this is the main thing that I tried to change, and it is quite a bit better. So for the body of this one, it's thicker, it's more syrupy, and I just know from experience that it's going to hold up better to being poured over ice. Or if you brew this as a concentrate, it'll hold up better to being diluted. This one tastes way more watery. It's there and then it's gone. This one lingers on your mouth a little bit, rolls off your tongue a little bit. It's really nice. So I'm going to up the body to 4.5 for this one. Wow factor, I'll give it a 4. It's not bad by any means. It's not fantastic. It doesn't have anything that totally punches you in the face and like, wow, that's amazing. I've had different Ethiopian coffees on cold brew that maintain that sparkliness and the tingly mouthfeel and everything. They've been really good, and that's not quite there yet, but we'll keep working on it. Strength, 3.5, just a little bit stronger in terms of taste, coffee taste, than the older one. And balance, I'm going to give it a 4. So I think in terms of this one and this one, we have significant upgrades to everything. That has been an analysis of my own brews, and let's compare them against the commercial ones. We'll just go through it. Body, 3.5, decent body. I think something that will be worth noting with all these is that they are physically so much darker. I think that they must have used more roasted beans than what I'm using. And I can taste that straight away. Tastes a little more burnt, a little more bitter. Not super psyched on that. Sweetness, 2. Sorry. It's just not sweet. It's just, ugh. And this is, again, another point of contention because I know different people like different things. A lot of people don't like sourness or acidity. Those are, again, some more buzzwords in their cold brew coffee. And that's because I think they've actually had so much coffee that's just not very good that they take flavors like burnt or flavors like dirty or earthy to be an intrinsic taste in the coffee, which I just think is so wrong because a lot of it comes down to brewing methods and it comes down to the roast profile. It's not a coffee taste, it's just bad. Balance in this one. Let's taste it again. Oh, it tastes like burnt clay. Ugh. Interestingly, I think that the flavor tastes better out of the can than it does slurping in the cup. And I think that's a very important thing because when you get people who go to the store or people who are on a long car ride and they go to the gas station and they see one of these, they're not going to be tasting it. They're not going to be pouring it into cups. They're not going to be slurping it with a spoon. So it does taste better out of this. Strength, I'll give it a 4. It's very strong. It's quite good. Again, even from the can, when I aerate the coffee more in my mouth, when I get it more suffused around my palate, it ends up tasting a little dirtier, so I'm actually going to downgrade that. It is strong for those people who like to torture themselves or want to appear macho or hardcore. It is strong, but again, I think it's a little too strong. Wow factor, 2.5. First impressions, really bad. That's just the way it is. Next up, Gevalia Cold Brew. The body on this doesn't look quite as bad. It doesn't look like black inky death, so we'll see. That is not terrible. All right, balance. Straight off the bat, it appears to be very balanced. Actually, pretty good. I'm gonna give that a 4. Sweetness is a 3.5. Strength is not very good. Strength, I'll give it a 2.5. It just tastes a little underwhelming, not super strong. Falls a little bit flat. The flavors don't really coalesce in the way that you want them to. Wow factor, 3.5. Again, it's coffee. It's good. They didn't mess around too much. Body, not super good. Again, it's kind of weak. It's got kind of a hollow body. It's not very viscous. Also a 3, but I liked this more than I thought I would. This is something that if you wanted to make a recipe with it, I think it'd be really good to put milk in. If you take your coffee with cream or whatever. You know, it's not excessively roasty. It does have that good balance. Not bad. Good stuff, Gevalia. I think you guys are a chocolate maker. For the Illy, I put it in the espresso cup. So this looks black as sin. Body's a 4.5. I think what they really tried to do with this drink is replicate a sort of iced espresso. You know, it does have that kind of classic Italian flavor to it. So for what this is, I think I actually like this more than I thought I would. You know, I can tell it's a darker roast, probably an espresso roast, but it's not bad. It's not bad. This is actually turning out to be quite good. So, high brew, really not as into it. Regular coffee, pretty good. Iced espresso in a can. Maybe they did a really good job of this. Sweetness, I'm going to give it a 4. You know, it happens to be kind of roasty and sweet at the same time. Balance, 3.5. It does a good job of having that great body, that really thick, viscous body. Strength is a 4. Very strong, very good. Wow factor, 3.5. And again, these numerical values are not the end-all, be-all, but we're all done. We're all done with the black coffee section, and that was pretty fun. All right, so a couple of thoughts on this before we move into the other categories, the other brackets, if you will. For the most part, I was very happy in the differentiation of products that I saw. The Illy Espresso really seemed like a decent approximation of a cold shot of espresso. The Gevalia Cold Brew was just really decent, kind of balanced coffee. A lot of people, I think, kind of at the most basic tasting level, they think that black coffee is the same, or they have kind of these limiting beliefs or kind of these pre-existing beliefs. I don't like black coffee. It's too strong. It's too nasty. I just would love for people to, in general, call attention to their own beliefs on a more philosophical scale, examine their own beliefs. What are the things that you have taken for granted in terms of your own experience so far in your life, and in terms of the microcosm of coffee, which is a far less important thing. Try different black coffees. You'll notice a difference. You'll notice things that you do like and things that you don't like. And if you don't like any of them, then at least you tried. So, moving on. All right. So this is the fun part of it. These are our party drinks. I'll do my best to compare these all on a kind of objective basis. It'll be really hard considering things like regular milk, almond milk, coconut, different things added. But I'm going to try and use the same criteria and just see how it goes. Let's do it. Chameleon. That's good. That's sweet. It is a bit frothy and kind of almost buttery tasting. Not really what I would have expected, but, you know, there's all sorts of chemical shenanigans going on with this. Body, 3.5. That's been my go-to that I've been giving. The body's fine. Sweetness is going to be harder with all of these. Obviously, the thing with the most sugar in it is going to feel the sweetest, so I'm going to have to be a little more subjective on these categories, I think, to give them a fair shot. Obviously, if I just was like, this is sweeter than this, then the one with the most sugar in it would get a 5. It is decently sweet, not overly sweet. Again, it's got sort of this buttery cream sweetness to it, which is nice, a milky sweetness. 3.5. Strength, I can take points with a clear conscience because I don't think it tastes very strong. The Khalifa Triple X. It's good. Balance, it's a 4. Strength, it's a 4. I think it's very good. I think it's very strong. I think the almond milk tastes nice. Wow is a 3.5. This leaves us with the sweetness. Give it 3.5. Again, not super sweet. The amount of sugar in there, it's not bad. With the body, I'll give it a 3.5. Overall, very consistent, very nice. All right, now, the one that I'm maybe most excited about is the Wandering Bear. Not that many ingredients in it. Just cold brew coffee, water, coconut cream, and chocolate. So it's basically no frills, no nonsense, hopefully just good stuff. To me, this tastes the most coffee-like out of any of them. This is actually pretty surprising, considering that all the other ones are very milky. This one is less so. For that reason, I would almost put it in a different category. I would almost move it over to the other black coffee category. But very good. Really just mainly coffee with a hint of other things. So, body, I'm going to give it a 3. It doesn't feel particularly thick. Sweetness, a 3. Again, it's not meant to be very sweet, so I don't think this is bad. Balance, I'm going to give it a 4. To be honest, it's kind of a shock to my palate to think about. You know, I've almost switched over to evaluating these milk-based drinks, and it's not that. It is coffee flavored with other things, which is pretty nice. Strength, 4. Wow factor, 3.5. And again, it's hard to quantify this. I was just not really expecting that. Wandering Bear, coconut. I don't know why you market it as a mocha. I honestly couldn't taste any chocolate at all in there. When you put cacao or when you put some raw chocolate into a coffee drink, if you put just a little bit, the bitterness compounds with the bitterness of the coffee in a really nice way that almost makes it taste a little stronger. That's if you've ever had a mochaccino or something like that. If you put just a little bit of chocolate in with espresso and with milk, you can't taste much of a cocoa flavor on its own, but it just makes the coffee taste that much more strong and that much more coffee-like, and I think that's what's happening here. Moving on, Crazy Time, picnic coffee. It's thick, it looks like chocolate milk, and it tastes like chocolate milk without the chocolate. So I'm going to do wow factor. I am not wowed by this at all. 2.75. It almost doesn't taste like coffee to me. It's more of a shake with coffee in it. Made with cold brew. I don't know how much cold brew is in here. It says 160 milligrams of caffeine, which is strong, but I'm not getting a lot of coffee taste out of it. Body's a 2.75, maybe a 3. And again, maybe this is playing into my expectations of it. I thought it would be like a thick, almost like a chocolatey milk tasting thing. One good thing in it is that there's no sugar. I'm going to call it a wash with a 3 on the sweetness here. You know, I guess it's a good thing that there's no sugar. Again, it's what they're marketing. Balance, 3. Strength, 2.75. Not really sure where to go with this one. It looks chocolatey, but it doesn't taste chocolatey. It just tastes like a weird coconut something or other. I think there is maybe too much going on in this drink, and they tried to take it in too many directions. Maybe if you're a strange ketogenic guy, you just pound these down and maybe you feel good about it. Extra bold, I don't know. Doesn't taste especially good to me. So there we have it, the open category. To recap, milk-based, milky, buttery, kind of good tasting. I kind of like that buttery, fatty taste. Also fatty tasting, but just didn't really hold up to either to my expectations or to, I think, the chameleon in terms of thickness, sweetness. The Califia was my favorite. Califia made the tragic error of naming themselves after the rapper Wiz Khalifa. I think from that point on, they kind of doomed themselves to people mispronouncing their name. But Califia was definitely my favorite out of all of these. I think the almond milk is very good. I think the sweetness is the best. I think the balance is the best out of them all. And this corroborates with my score chart here. And I think that they added just enough sugar to tie it all together. This stuff, good. You can see there's 300 milligrams of caffeine in there, which leads me to believe that it's mostly cold brew inside of here, and that's what it tastes like too. Again, really surprised me. I'll have to try more of their stuff in the future. Wandering Bear. Extra bold, not so much. Weird keto shake, full of grass-fed butter. Fatty taste is good. That's the most that I thought about it. Pretty underwhelmed, to be honest. Yeah, a lot going on, but I felt like nothing really shined. It just tasted like kind of fatty, vaguely coffee tasting water. There we have it. So I'm here with just some final thoughts, painting in broad strokes, finishing this video up. I had a ton of fun doing this. I think it was super informative. Not actually that cracked out, which is a good thing. I was a responsible taster. I'd say I enjoyed the most is cupping the black iced coffees. I thought that was a lot of fun. And as I said before, there are really a lot of fine differences inherent in these things if you just look. And so don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to open up your base of experience, and you might find some really cool things. Don't be afraid to try and be objective about your experiences and evaluate your own experiences. That's why I think cupping is really cool. It's a great balance between here are the facts that I see in the world, and on the other hand, you have to take your own experience into account. You know, my own experience as a taster, your own experience with coffee, whether you are, you have Gordon Ramsay's palate, or if you know what you like, you love being kind of bludgeoned over the head with certain tastes. I can be kind of like that sometimes. The open categories, the iced lattes and the elixir drinks, also very fun. I think mainly just fun to do some market research. This one was the standout to me, the Califia. I had a blast doing this. All right, guys, if you stuck with me this far through the whole video, I want to say thank you. I'm very grateful for it, and I hope you had fun, and I hope you learned a couple things. This is weird to say. I'm not really a huge social media guy, but if you liked it, stay current with it. You know the things. Like, subscribe, Instagram. All right. Love you guys, and keep an open mind. Have a great day.